In this video, we will address the claim that atheism is more rational and logical than believing in God and show that it is actually illogical. It is true that in everyday life, atheists make more rational decisions as compared to most of the believers. The reason they are more organized is that they are few in numbers and they are more educated and trained in mathematics, philosophy, and physical sciences, etc. Believers, on the other hand, are huge in numbers. Since believing is the default mode of human beings, most of the believers are believers by birth and they follow without fully understanding the fundamentals of their religion. Masses of them are from poor and less educated areas of the world where there is a lot of survival struggle. So, in the absence of critical thought, these people are more likely to create myths and fuse them into their religion, and their life decisions are more based on emotions than logic. Atheists usually compare the irrationality of masses of believers to the rational aspects of their own scientific life approach. This creates an impression that atheism is more rational, but that is not the case. When you take a deep dive into the fundamental propositions of atheism and look under the hood, it turns out that its core fundamentals are actually illogical. At best, it is just another belief system or another religion. The difference between atheism and other religions is that they all rely on mystery, but atheism pretends to be based on provable science. At the core of the atheism is the belief that the conception and movement of the universe or multiverse, whatever, is a result of random accidents that are happening out of nowhere, and there is no conscious or intelligent control behind the universe and its movement. It is just a dead machine in random motion. Atheists say explaining the universe by invoking God does not explain anything. Okay, fine, in the realm of science is it does not. But how is explanation by random accidents any better? They blame that believers fill the gaps in the explanation with God and they call God the God of gaps. But the alternative they present is to fill the same gaps with random accidents. How did the Big Bang happen? It was an incredible accident. Why is the cosmological constant knife edged precise for our form of life? It was a remarkable accident. How did the life start? It was a wonderful accident. How does biological evolution happen? Through random mutations which accidentally happen. The list of accidents go on and on and on. So if one is God of gaps, then the other is accident of the gap, if you will. Logically thinking, how is explanation by random accidents more rational? On the contrary, when you think of it in the context of the movement of the universe, it is illogical. It is more logical to think that the movement of the universe is controlled and conscious. Let's take an example and think for a moment what is the difference between random movement and conscious movement. The difference is that in the conscious movement, we can detect consistent and continuous patterns. Random movement can also generate patterns, but they will not be consistent. Now, when many consistent patterns of movement progress together into a sequential and coherent story, that definitely cannot be a random accident. Look at yourself and think about the story of your life. One small part of this story is that you wake up every morning and eat food. Is that conscious movement or random movement? It is conscious movement because you are moving your body in a specific direction to serve a purpose, which is to get off the bed and eat food. So you consciously move your body and eat food. That is all good and well. But at the same time, at the micro level, your body is made up of the subatomic particles of this universe which bonded together and form your body. These particles move all the time. You move because of the movement of the subatomic particles. If these particles stopped moving, there is no way you could move your body no matter how much you try. Since they are very tiny, the range of their motion is also incredibly small. You know your movement is conscious, but on the particle level, to be able to accomplish the coherent story of you waking up and eating food, these particles cannot just move in random directions. These particles have to move in precise directions and range while coordinating with each other so that the end result of you waking up and eating food is achieved. It is not possible to achieve this movement if the subatomic particles of the universe were moving in random directions. It is true that if someone was just to look at the movement of the subatomic particles of your body on the micro level without any context, it would seem that the movement is extremely random and chaotic. But when you look at the patterns on the macro level they are creating and a coherent story of you waking up from bed and eating food resulting from it, you know it is not random or accidental. It is you consciously eating food. So at least the subatomic particles of the universe, which are contained in your body, move under conscious control and not randomly when you move your body. Keeping in mind that your body is a subset of the universe and its movement is a subset of the movement of the universe, extrapolate it to the universal scale where there are almost infinite subatomic particles and they have been continuously creating the life stories of trillions and trillions of organisms for billions of years, where these organisms are all born, they eat, sleep, grow up, live their lives, and then die. All of these stories are a subset of the grand cosmic story. So when atheists tell you that all this progression of certain arrangement of particles into this great cosmic story is still random and accidental, they're trying to make you believe in an oxymoron, and it is the most illogical thing I've ever heard of. Their explanation of the design in the universe is that it's not really a design. It just seems to us like a design because our brain is made to look for designs. So, does that mean that when I see a cheeseburger, it is not really a cheeseburger? It just seems to me like a cheeseburger, but in reality, it is just something random. This assertion about design is also illogical because these designs are meant to guide us on how to survive and live our lives. For example, if we did not recognize the design that we call food, we would not know what to eat and we would die of hunger. Also, when you see a lion in a jungle and if you don't recognize it as a dangerous beast and you don't get scared of it, the next thing you know is you will become food for that lion. And he's not going to assume about you that you are just a random pattern that the universe created by an accident. Maybe if it seems like a design and quacks like a design, it is a design and it is meant to provide us some information which is relevant for our survival. You just have to accept the possibility that there is more to consciousness than the way you define it. Just like there is existence rather than nothingness, there is consciousness rather than unconsciousness. Existence is conscious and alive rather than being dead and mechanical. There is no such thing as absolute nothingness and absolute unconsciousness. These are just ideas. Another argument they bring against design is the natural selection of cosmic and biological evolution, which is to say, because of natural selection, a lot of unfit patterns fade away and better fitting patterns progress to the next stage. But evolution itself is a continuous story in progression. If it were random, it wouldn't go on and progress for billions of years in a coherent and a progressive manner. So, evolution is also a conscious process through which the great cosmic story is being told. The reason why they assume natural selection is random is they make an underlying assumption that if there were a divine plan, only creation of intelligent designs would be part of it and not the destruction. In their mind, the destruction of some patterns or extinctions of some species proves its randomness. In reality, the creation and destruction are both part of the divine plan, and it is well understood among believers that only God is truly eternal, and in the created and contingent realm, things perish, some things sooner and others later. So, extinction does not prove that the natural selection is accidental. I could still accept their thesis though if there were no consciousness in the whole system at all. But in that case, we would all be non existent due to the absence of consciousness in the system, and that is not the case in this universe. The fact is that not only these intelligent patterns and stories are being created in the system, but there is also a conscious receiving end of those stories, which is us. So, when there is so much contingent consciousness on the receiving end in the form of trillions of humans and animals and other creatures observing and experiencing these coherent, continuous, and interlinked cosmic stories, that means there is absolute consciousness on the delivering end, which is creating and telling these stories as part of the great divine cosmic story. It is doing it through complex but controlled movement of the small particles of the universe. Saying these stories are being generated by random chaos on the delivering end is utterly illogical and irrational, because even if some pattern emerged through random movement, they would fall apart quickly in the next couple of iterations of movement because it is random and not following any particular order. The next claim that they make is that consciousness itself is an illusion. It is also illogical and it makes no sense because you have to be conscious before you can even experience an illusion. Now, science does not care at all if the laws of physics were designed or not, and if the particle movement is conscious or not. Science is only concerned with measuring their velocity, composition, the bond they make, and making predictions based on the measurements. Science does not care about belief in God or atheism. Atheists just use science as a facade to make atheism look stronger and to sell it to the general public. You can be a believer and still be a scientist, just like Isaac Newton. So once you take scientific claims out of the equation, atheism is reduced only to the beliefs that universe is accidental, design is not really a design, and consciousness is an illusion. All of these are not scientifically testable hypotheses. So, atheism is based on scientifically unprovable claims just like other religions. In order not to believe in one mysterious God, you have to believe in countless mysterious accidents. In conclusion, atheism is just another religion and an illogical one. So, if there is no scientific implication of whether you believe or you're an atheist, then why is it such a big deal? Why go to such great lengths for rejecting a universe which is conscious and insist on a dead end mechanical universe when it doesn't make any scientific difference? Why do people become atheists and why do we want to believe? I will go over the reasons in the next video, God willing. Till then, goodbye.